if Microsoft decided to shut down Xbox, we wouldn't lose that much.
I
You're not
think
wrong
it's
about that.
bad having that much stability and no improvement.
I'm put up with an impossible task to defend Xbox. I know that. Damn, it's impossible, low key. But like the question is, delete one forever. The four, I guess, cornerstones of gaming: Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, or Steam. I have
Valve.
my answer, or was Steam
Let's be,
Steam slash Valve?
yeah, Valve. Steam is just Valve.
Okay, sure. All right, so we'll say that. Okay.
Get it? Because when you do something with a Valve, Steam
Oh,
comes
oh
out.
yeah. I didn't get that. I didn't get that. I don't know what that meant, but yeah, appreciate that. But okay. So there's been some like debate in the comments and stuff, and with us. So basically, I said Steam out of the four should go, and I still stay by that answer. I think Steam out of those four should probably go. Okay.
And in my opinion, I think Sony. I'm kidding. I think Microsoft, aka Xbox. Well, not Microsoft, but Xbox. The gaming side of Microsoft, I believe Xbox. Out of those four, can easily be swept under the rug without any issues in this landscape. And I
Okay.
got my reasons. I have some points, both negative, positive about Steam and Xbox, because I can say some good things about Xbox. Xbox has definitely done a lot of things to the landscape, but in comparison to these other three, I believe it hasn't done as much, if a lot.
Okay. Gotcha. So go on and start off with your reasons on why you think
All right,
Xbox should go and probably Steam over Xbox. I guess that's what the topic
all
is.
right. So if I'm gonna do this by topics, let's do it by platform. So so the Xbox has several platforms. It has the Xbox Store inside of the console itself. It has a Microsoft Store in the computers, and also has its own Xbox Game Store on the computer. It's already three platforms. Usually, if you buy a game on Xbox, you can easily see it on the Xbox platform. Microsoft Store is kind of useless. It mainly has applications like Skype, rest in peace,
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft Word, it's alive, stuff like that. So basically, it has two platforms: the Microsoft Store, or not the Microsoft Store, the Xbox Game Store, and the Xbox Game Store in the consoles. Um, Microsoft definitely has a better reach when it comes to just the platforms it has. It's a casual thing, but um, even in that aspect, my brother is recently. I recently gave my brother my old computer, and he just started using Steam. And Steam, if we're being honest, can be a tiny bit complicated. Steam does have some complications on it in the sense that it's too big. It's a big thing. But at the same time, that hugeness compared to the Microsoft Game Store or Xbox Game Store, it's also a really good thing because you have a vast selection of games, both old, new, AAA, indie, and it keeps on coming. Even if you could consider some of it slop, a lot of it is generally passionate games by people.
Mm-hmm.
And to put games on platforms like Microsoft or even the PlayStation Store, so the PlayStation Store is kind of being less is being more loose with it now. Is similar to how Nintendo is doing it. To get your game on the Microsoft Store, you have to go through a whole process. You have to contact them. You have to do the whole thing. With Steam, you have to contact them, but it's essentially just put the exe file, put the whatever files, and you put the game on it really quickly. That goes for both. That goes for compared to how the Xbox does it. It's a bit more complicated. It's way more complicated to get your games. Period on any of the other platforms, or any of the more like console platforms compared to how you can do it on Steam very easily. That is a starting point. That is a basic point. I think that is like very agreeable. No negative things about that. Both stores have their negatives and their positives, and I believe Steam has more positives, both for the developer standpoint and just the community standpoint of the people that actually use the storefront.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree. Like, I don't think anyone can disagree that Steam is like pretty like has the ease of access, a lot of games on there, a lot of developer support. Even though they have slop, they have like a pretty wide variety of AAA games. Indie games is a nice service that's again easy to use. It's free. Only thing you would need is just like the memory and like probably money to buy the games. But there's a lot of free demos and stuff you can get on Steam. So like that's and they really hold which like pretty much almost a monopoly on like the PC gaming market, which is not really a bad, not a monopoly in like a negative sense, but like it's a monopoly
It is.
basically.
It is. It is. It is. And even I can admit easily that the Steam does have a. It's legally not a monopoly, but it's borderline on there.
Right. Like,
Cause
but I wouldn't say it's negative because at least Steam isn't like a bad company. They seem to care about the people on there. Like Valve was like pretty upfront about what they do. Um, they're not like taking money from like the developers or anything. So I think they're pretty good. I guess I wish there was some more competition because like live stores like that, like the Epic Game Store, is pretty bad. They tried a lot of things to try to mimic Steam and they can't. So maybe that's just a testament how good Steam is,
it's
right? So yeah, Steam again. I think Steam is a really good platform, but it's a really tough choice for me to say. I would say Steam could probably go out of the four, and here's my reasoning. Okay,
all right. I'm listening. I'm
the
listening.
reason why I'm choosing Xbox to defend is because that's kind of like the one that can go or stay. Because Nintendo's gonna stay, Sony's gonna stay, obviously, or PlayStation that's gonna stay. Um, so again, I think Xbox innovated a lot. Sure, you can say it's only a response to PlayStation 2 because they were kind of threatened because that also threatened their PC market with CDs and DVDs. So like they went to like, oh, let me get into the race because if we don't, we're gonna lose a lot of customers and money. So sure, um, but with them being only like a response to something, they've actually innovated a lot in a lot of aspects because they're one of the first to have like the online service games. Well, not with like the online gaming in general, which that attributed to like the gaming scene streaming esports. Without Xbox, I don't think esports would be as big because they were like one of the first people to push it off with the streaming culture. They have accessibility. Controllers are really good. They sure you can say a lot of the developers aren't really with Xbox, but like they have big hits like Halo, Gears of War, Ninja Gaiden, to name a few. I just the reason why I wouldn't say Xbox would have to go is because while Xbox isn't as defendable right now, I just can't say to get rid of it as a whole because of what it's done. I mean, because it actually does it does a lot of like innovations on where other consoles and companies have to bend to them because since they are backed by Microsoft, they have a lot of insight on like what can go into a console to make it really powerful and kind of innovate in that aspect. So yeah, they have accessibility, they have a lot of support and a lot of backing. And again, they without Xbox, they wouldn't have online gaming as big as it was. Like maybe it would have happened, but it wouldn't be like as soon as it was, or probably not even as big. So yeah.
All right. To the online gaming point, I do agree with you. I believe like Xbox, not just like MLG or like professional like esports. It's more just the casual segments of stuff. When the Xbox 360 came out, even though Xbox is the whole reason why Nintendo, Sony, and itself charges for online, because like Xbox Live,
Yeah.
which it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It's just called Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
I feel old. I feel old thinking of the Xbox and then the Live Orange.
Xbox Live
I feel
was I
old.
don't know. Xbox Live
Uh,
at the time it felt really cool to be on there. I don't know why. Like it really did. Like
it was cool because you were paying for it. That definitely at some point, but the fact that you could hop on like a S360, just hop on Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 or Black
hmm
Ops and just play with random people. That like the online part of Microsoft, I was there. I literally played the
yeah,
360
yeah.
back in my day, and that was insane. Obviously, like playing online because the Xbox made it definitely more accessible. PlayStation had free online, and you could play Call of Duty for free. You could play all this stuff for the PS3 era. But Microsoft definitely and the Xbox had definitely a bigger audience because the PS3 launched with the $599 price tag. That shit was insane back in
hmm
2006, I think it was. And Nintendo was doing its own thing around the
Right.
time. They launched the Wii. It printed them money. But besides the online part of Microsoft and just Xbox Live and stuff like that, and it becoming a big thing for esports, I do agree with that. But at the same time, Valve as a whole has a few games that are, well, one of them is one of the biggest games of esports of all time. Counter Strike. Counter Strike is so goddamn huge, and even before like MLG, Call of Duty, all this stuff, like CS, like LAN tournaments were fucking huge. And
Yeah,
nowadays,
true.
there's like tournaments for Counter Strike every single time. And for every almost every month, there's like a tournament for like Counter Strike. There's a giant prize pool, several teams, and stuff like that. And besides Counter Strike, there's also Dota 2. I don't play Dota. You don't play Dota. You don't know what you barely know what Dota is.
I mean, I
If
know
we're
what Dota
being
is, but like,
honest.
I'm not playing Dota. Yeah.
But yeah, no. But even if we don't know how big Dota is, Dota tournaments are humongous.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not the same scale as CS, but they are around the same like a scale below like a League of Legends tournament and stuff like that. They are big though. They are extremely huge. It's a MOBA. MOBAs are big and stuff like that. And I feel like even if we didn't have the culture of like MLG, Call of Duty, like on Xbox, and even then the online, I feel like the fact that Steam offers like their online services for completely free in a way. I mean, you can download a Counter Strike right now, boot it up, and play online for free. For an Xbox, you definitely get like a free trial to try out these stuff, try out Game Pass, and Game Pass is a huge thing that I would like to talk about. But like the fact that Steam allows you to just hop on for the first time. My brother literally got on his computer. He booted up Modern Warfare. He booted up Warzone. He likes playing Warzone, and he's having fun with that shit. The only negative about Steam that I can give is the fact that if you want to like add friends, change your name and stuff like that, you have to, or add your phone number and shit like that, you have to give $5 to Steam. It is a basic
Yeah.
thing, honestly. It is a little bit of a bummer that that is still a thing that you have to spend, but at the same time, you spend $5, you have every single service that Steam offers. And it's not like you get paid for that constantly. I mean, you buy games on Steam monthly, but in the case of Steam, it's like you pay $5, you can buy any game, or you can simply add $5 into the account and do nothing with them, and then you could do whatever the fuck you want with it,
True.
which is
That's I'm
definitely a
like.
positive and a negative,
As I'm like
depending on
Steam.
who's.
There's nobody who would say that right now Xbox is better than Steam. That's really not my
No,
argument. My thing is like, of
yeah,
if we're gonna get rid of Xbox, their whole history of all time, their gaming catalog and their influence, I wouldn't do that. Is because again, they saved us a lot from the PS3 era when the 360 came out. Like, sure you can say, oh, it's the only good console, the 360, but like, even with it just being that, I think that almost like puts it over like Steam almost. Because I know Steam right now they have a lot of support, they have a lot of really good games, ease of access, but like that era of gaming, especially with the online and the games they had on there, that it just can't be replicated. So I would be hesitant to get rid of that. So it's like it's kind of a toss up, like against Steam versus Xbox, but like still of all time, I would keep Xbox because of again what they've done, what they've innovated with. Again, Steam has the games, they have the developer support, but it's just like you know they had to come from somewhere. And again, from
yeah, they did.
Xbox and Microsoft, they made Valve. So it's like again, literally without Xbox and all that stuff, we wouldn't even have a Steam.
Or Microsoft, you mean, or Microsoft, you mean?
Well, no, I mean yes and no, but I mean they're kind of an extension of. I know we're not trying to talk about Microsoft, but like still, with that being said, it's like they're still in that culture, right?
Not necessarily, because Valve was founded several years ago. It was no, several years ago. I say that, but if I
Well, yeah,
remember correctly,
it was in 2003,
if
and then yeah,
no,
that,
no, 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 well,
I
Steam,
wasn't
that's
Steam.
Steam.
Steam, yeah, I'm not talking about Valve. Yeah, Steam was in
Steam.
2003.
Because even without Steam as a platform, Valve was doing mods. Valve originally was
Yeah,
making mods for Quake, and in 1998, thanks to Sierra, they uh, they published or they developed and Sierra published Half-Life in 1998. I don't remember exactly what month, what day, but it was 1998, and they published Half-Life. And that game predates PlayStation 1. It is around the time, the N64 already has come out and whatnot. It predates Xbox. And to say that Half-Life and Half-Life literally is one of the most important games of all time, period. It has changed so much. It is a game that without Half-Life, you wouldn't have CS. You would not have Left 4 Dead. You would not have Portal. And these games alone, CS alone, you would not have Valorant without Counter Strike. Without
you know
CS, you
what?
wouldn't have Team Fortress.
I think we'll be okay without that because we can serve stuff in
Well,
Valorant.
yeah,
I
but
think
yeah,
we'll be
no, no,
fine. All
no,
right.
no, I know, I know.
No, I'm playing.
But you get my point. You get my
Yeah.
point. Without Half-Life, it's just like it's an understatement of how important, like saying, oh, Half-Life is important. Half-Life is super important. You know,
Right.
CS,
Yeah.
Team Fortress was the original Team Fortress Classic was a mod of Half Life, and then they got together with the mods, the people that made the creators that made the mod. They got together. They made Team Fortress 2. You know, you got Dota. Dota originally was I believe a Warcraft 3 mod, like a long time ago. And the creators of that mod, I believe, it was called Ice Frog, like at least one of them. They went to Blizzard to say, "Hey, you guys want the idea? We can develop a game for you." They said no. Steam saw that and said, "You know what? Here you go." They give them the keys, they give them the money, and now Dota is one of the biggest games out there that is competing with a lot of Blizzard stuff. Without CS too, I should mention, or like Counter Strike, Left 4 Dead wouldn't be a thing. And Left 4 Dead originally was also a mod. It was a mod that Valve saw and they took interest
Oh wait,
and they
no,
helped
no.
develop.
Left 4 Dead was originally on Xbox. It was made for Xbox.
No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no,
Left 4 Dead 1. Yeah,
no, 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 no.
it wasn't.
No,
Yes, it
Left 4 Dead
was.
wasn't. No, wasn't. No, wasn't.
I'm not talking about
Left 4 Dead
two.
or the No, no, no. I'm talking about Left 4 Dead in general. Left 4 Dead originally was a mod for Counter Strike. Valve saw that, took interest, and decided to basically help the development team, which was Turtle Rock Studios, if I remember correctly. And Turtle Rock Studios helped develop Left 4 Dead. It was on PC and on Xbox. It was a huge game on Xbox. And then around the time they decided to make, I think it was literally a year later, they made Left 4 Dead 2. People thought it was going to be a scam. It was just
True.
another game. It was just going to be a sequel for no reason. It wasn't. And Left 4 Dead 2 was actually made in-house by Valve. It wasn't made by Turtle Rock Studios.
Right.
And besides that, besides the history of that, you got games like Portal. You got games like Counter Strike. You got games like Dota. You got things like SFM, which is the Source Filmmaker. Source Filmmaker is a free animation software that you can get right now anytime you want, and it gives you the assets, the engine, and a bunch of other shit that is from Valve, that is licensed by Valve, and you can do whatever the fuck you want with it for free, no matter what. And I love that from Valve. That is the thing that I will always respect from Valve, is the fact that they will give you a lot of shit for free if they can. Not for free, but they will give you, if they have like a piece of software, you can literally do whatever you want with it, as long as it's fine. If you're selling it, you can go to, like, right in front of Valve and be like, "Hey, can I license the game?" And then you pay the royalties and whatever, and then boom, you can literally sell the mod of the game. That it's a great thing. And I believe, besides like, just like how historical Valve is, from being a company that used to do mods to making their own games to just allowing people to make their own mods.
Actually, wait. I
Games
don't
and
think it's
whatnot.
really fair then, because I mean, we can't even if we can't use Microsoft, it's not fair to use Valve, right? Like,
Not necessarily, because like if we're talking about this, because like Steam as a thing, Steam is like a storefront.
yeah,
Steam,
yeah.
like if we're
Steam is like
comparing that,
basically like what you buy games on. Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, Valve. If we're talking about Valve, that's like the company behind Steam. It's kind of a weird thing if you really think about it, because like
yeah,
you should have
kind of
used the
like because
Valve
to
logo.
include Microsoft as a whole, like that is definitely challenging to like not. Because I mean, obviously Microsoft will probably win in that aspect because Microsoft is
Yeah, because
worldwide.
like Steam. Yeah, I mean Gabe Newell, the creator, the founder of Valve, literally used to work at Microsoft before he went to do Valve stuff.
Hmm.
He worked on he worked on the original Windows, I believe Windows 1.5, Windows 2, Windows 2.8, and then before it's Windows 3 he left.
Hmm.
And that's when he basically just started doing he gathered a bunch of his like friends. They developed a game, Half Life. They released it, became one of the biggest hits of all time, and stuff like that. But if we're talking about like their games, like just talk about like the games that Microsoft, the games that Valve has, or Xbox, if I should be specific about Microsoft. I still believe that Valve, even with a smaller catalog of games, still has more impact than Microsoft's like catalog. And if we're talking about Microsoft, we want to talk about the companies they founded, or the companies they got around the time when it was like the 360 and stuff like that. Because nowadays, Xbox definitely has Xbox as a company. If you really think about it, besides Halo, and even then Halo was made by Bungie, it wasn't really done in house by Microsoft. Except
Hmm.
nowadays it is. Most of Microsoft games, or most of Xbox games and stuff like that, are not even really done by Xbox. You got the entirety of Cinemax, which is like it's software. The people that make Doom and Wolfenstein. You got Bethesda, which are the people that make The Elder Scrolls and Fallout. You
Yeah,
got
but that I
Arcane,
know,
which are
well,
the
that's true, but
people.
that's not even a knock
Oh,
to Microsoft. It's like, oh, they're not now bad because they don't make their games in house. Like the
it's
fact that
not
they, yeah, like
necessarily
you know,
bad
like
because of their making games.
I understand what you're trying to say, but it doesn't take anything away from them just because they're not making games. I guess
That is true in a
themselves.
way.
Yeah.
That is true in a way. But even then, I would say that like the games that Valve have put out, Half-Life, Half-Life 2, Part 1, Part 2 of Half-Life 2. You got Portal, Portal 2. You got Dota 2. There's a lot of twos in there. You got
Hmm.
Counter-Strike, CSGO 1.6, Counter-Strike 2. You got Team Fortress Classic, Team Fortress 2, and you got all these games that they have put out, SFM as a software too. The amount of content you get from these games, and not I'm not talking about like public service and stuff like that. I feel like I still feel to this day that a game like Half-Life is just way better than a game like Halo. And Halo came out in 2001, if I'm not incorrect. It was a launch title
Hmm.
for the original Xbox. And a game like Half-Life came out in 1998, and to this day, that game alone feels 10 times better than a lot of the games that Microsoft and Xbox are publishing to this day. Because a game like Starfield that came out, I believe it was 2023, about 2 years ago, I feel that that game cannot compare to the shooting in that game is jack crap shit compared to the shooting in Half-Life 2. And that game was made and published in 2004. A
True.
game like Half-Life 2 to this day is still felt historically, and you can still feel the roots of that game in every shooter out there that has a story. Because of that's how much Half-Life changed everything.
True. As I'm like, I'm put up with an impossible task to defend Xbox. I know that. But
I'm
with that
sorry.
being said, no, I mean it's not your fault. I chose to defend Xbox, but like, damn, it's impossible, low key. But like, with all that, like again, I don't take really take anything away from Steam, but it's just the fact that it's such like a toss up, in my opinion, because yeah, Steam has done a lot of things for gaming. They make really phenomenal games. Their games are almost timeless. But again, I'm really focusing on the impact Xbox has had throughout its its runtime. And of course, Steam has maybe recently had a better track record. You can probably argue that, but again, it's just the history with Xbox. Like it's like the laughing stock now, but like I would still stay to keep those three.
Back in 2008, that was like a huge step
Yeah,
up.
I would still keep the three intact: the Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, and then Steam. It's like it's really good, but it's like with how good Steam is, I feel like that can also something like Valve can still happen without there being a Steam. You know, because they will still have another.
You mean the reverse? Something like Steam would happen without Valve.
No, like a company
Because
like Valve.
Valve is the company. Steam Valve was made before Steam.
No,
Steam
I know.
was
I'm
made
saying
like you
like
said. In
I'm saying
yeah,
there
Steam
could
was
there
yeah.
could be um a really like third party ish developer like Valve who can then make good games and then have a service after that Steam to host other games and have like this big monopoly on like online PC gaming. So
In a way that
to its
is
credit, it's very good. But I feel like what Steam does is um it can be done by somebody else. And Xbox, you can say Xbox can because maybe they take ideas from other people. But like, again, with the Microsoft backing, if I want to add that cannot be replicated as easy as Steam. It's kind of hard because maybe some people can't make Steam Xbox. I mean, Epic Games launchers sucks. All the stuff launchers suck. But like, I still feel like if there are the right people, that can also be made.
in a way yes, because like you mentioned, Epic Games. Epic Games do publish their own games. Obviously,
Hmm.
Fortnite. The only reason most people have Epic Games is because of Fortnite,
Right.
or
Yeah.
maybe a free game they're giving away for winter or summer. But not just Epic. There's also like a company I mentioned earlier, GOG.
Hmm.
GOG or GOG is a company that is basically it's a website, or not a website, but it's a game launcher that you can download for free and whatever, and you can buy games there and own them. And that website is hosted and created by CD Projekt Red, the people that made The Witcher, the people that made Cyberpunk, the people that have done these games on computer and on console before. And like you mentioned, these companies can put out their own games and then make their own launcher. I believe GOG was made years ago. Like I don't remember exactly what year it was made, but it was basically done just for the Witcher games,
Hmm.
back on computer. And then from there on, they started adding other games into it. And that's a good example you're mentioning. Do you believe that any company, or not just any company, but a company,
Yeah,
if Steam wasn't a thing,
because I feel
if
like
Valve wasn't as
if
big,
Epic really just had the right talent, like with Fortnite being the biggest shooter there is like ever, basically, I guess,
yeah,
battle royale. But like if that had a really good team and it launched with like a good launcher or had a launcher to back it, that would be like the Steam, you know. So
yeah.
again, it's
The
credit
thing
to
that
Steam that they did do it, but also mean like, hey, all it takes is like a little like thought and care into your launchers
Give
and
me a
like your
second. Yep.
service. Okay, go ahead. Damn. Like I'm gonna just talk a little bit. It takes a little bit. Um, if they had a little more care into their service with Fortnite, then it could be a Steam. Then it's like everyone would want to be on Steam. It would probably have better practices. But I guess we'll never know because yeah, Steam is just has a monopoly on gaming and everything, right? So, but yeah, damn.
And I heard you. I'm turning on the camera back on.
Okay.
But even then, the thing with Epic definitely has the money. Epic has the money to make a good launcher. It's just the fact that the way they go on about it is the incorrect way. They put themselves as, when Fortnite launched. You know what? You have to download the Epic. This I'm talking about like when like Prime Fortnite, so like 2018, 2019, stuff like that. And when you were playing on your computer, you had to download the Epic Games Launcher to download Fortnite and whatnot. Around COVID time is when they decided to make the Epic Game Launcher an actual launcher, not just a launcher
For
for
Fortnite.
the Unreal Engine of Fortnite.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's completely nothing wrong with that. And Epic does offer better percentage rates for the developers. If you put a game on Steam, I think it's 70-30. I believe on Epic it's like 85-15. So you get 85%, 15 goes to Epic. If you put your game on Steam, it's 70 you, 30 Steam. And even then, that is great. That is great. Don't get me wrong. Paying your developer, giving the developers more money is great and all. But the way Epic went about doing it is what really caused their downfall. If I'm being
Hmm.
honest, it's just they try to put themselves like, oh, free games. We give more to the developers, and we're so cool. Please get our launcher. We're making exclusives, which was the first wrong step to making a platform on your computer. Because here's the thing about exclusives on console. Exclusives on console is what sells the console. You know, you buy a Switch to play Mario. You buy a PlayStation to play like God of War or to play. I mean, God of War is not on PC, but you get the point. You know,
Yeah.
you buy an you used to buy an Xbox to play Halo.
Yeah.
Now you don't really have
Yeah.
to.
I mean, like
You
it's
used,
weird to say now because again, PlayStation,
yeah,
Xbox, you kind of can go both. Yeah.
yeah, you can go on Steam or Epic and just download it. The thing with Game Pass is that it's a really good thing if you're like if you want to try out a new game that just came out that is like published by Microsoft or something like that. Then and that's a good way of getting it. Also, I guess the price depending if you
Yeah.
get the cheaper option. But the issue with Microsoft Game Pass is the fact that it doesn't really bring the money after a certain point. After a certain point, someone is paying like $25 a month for like the game for like Xbox Game Pass, and they try out like 5 games, and maybe they play one fully, but that doesn't give the developer, it
All the
doesn't really
money
give them a
that they,
number. It doesn't give
yeah.
them a number, so it just kind of ends up affecting the company as a whole, and that's why this year and last year alone, Microsoft fired. I mean, this year alone, they fired 9,000 people. That was like Microsoft as a whole, but it did affect the gaming side of Xbox a lot. And again, I don't want to talk about the shutdowns or like the people that got fired because again, that's an easy point to tackle and an easy point for me to go like to win the argument in a way. But
Mhm.
if I'm talking about Xbox Game Pass, I always nowadays, especially with them raising the price and really not doing much with it, I see it more as a negative than a positive for the company because even though games like Call of Duty can sell 500 million copies in its first physical year,
Yeah.
that was Black Ops 6, if I remember correctly. That's how much it sold. It was the best-selling Call
Right.
of Duty game of all time.
It should have
Even
been
with
more.
that,
Yeah.
like even with that, Xbox like that game will always do good. But a game that Microsoft will publish, Hi-Fi Rush, It was out for day one on Xbox Game Pass, and even though it was cheap as shit, like $40, it still affects them. It still affects them, and in the long run, it'll be affecting more their other studios than Microsoft itself.
True. All right. So I have some stuff to talk about.
I went on a long
You
tangent.
went
I
on a
went
whole
on a
tangent,
long
but okay.
tangent.
So where I want to start is kind of going back.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I'm going back a little bit.
yeah, they're fine.
But so
I
I
went
know I
on a long
mentioned
tangent.
how like other studios can also make a launcher like Steam if they had like a good backing, and of course we can agree that Epic dropped the ball on a lot of things because they have the biggest battle royale ever to ever exist, and they dropped the ball on the game service because they just had a bad direction, and I think they tried to, um, they looked at Steam too much as trying to replicate. That could be good. Like again, like Xbox replicated stuff in a good way and it turned out positive, but Epic didn't really do that because I think they had a bad mindset and they just tried to push things that people didn't really care about outside of Fortnite. So it's like it's their fault, obviously. To Xbox's credit overall, you mentioned something about like accessibility for Steam, but what I
Yeah,
would say to accessibility is Xbox is like the console of like I don't know like the best casual console there is and probably has always has been besides Nintendo. Um,
yeah.
sure you can say PlayStation sold more, Nintendo's more nostalgic, but
Also,
Xbox, what happened?
speaking of accessibility, I do want to give something to Xbox.
Wait, hold on, hold on. You
I,
ran it for like
no, 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 no,
500
no,
minutes. Okay,
no, no. It's one quick thing. It's one quick thing
okay,
about accessibility. Microsoft has a really good controller, and they've been like talking about this like almost every 2-ish years, almost every year and a half, about their controller for people that are disabled, people that have people that don't like are either like don't have an arm, people that are just disabled. It's for
Mhm.
people that have, and it's a really cool thing that I actually respect because like Sony and Nintendo, they don't, or even Steam for that matter, they don't really launch peripherals for people that may have disabilities. Microsoft has a really big controller that has big buttons for people that have, difficulty using a joystick or difficulty pressing small buttons and stuff like that. And that is something I will always respect. That's it.
true. Yeah, I mentioned that in my opening statement. I was like, they definitely have like the best controllers out of pretty much any console out there. And of course, they're making more with like people who are disabled, so that's pretty good for them. So like Xbox is like for I guess it can be seen as negative, but it's like the best casual console there is out there. I still to this day, no matter even how I guess bad Xbox gets, tell me, oh Tune, what should I get? I want to get back to gaming. I don't have a PC. All I have is a MacBook. What do I do? I'm like, you know what? Get an Xbox Series S. Get that. You can play all your games online. They have a decent library. Like sure,
Aren't they really cheap?
yeah, they're pretty cheap. They're like
You can
three something.
you can
They're
you can
they're
easily find them for cheap, but sadly, this goes for every company. The consoles are going up in the price.
No, yeah, true. But
Yeah.
like I'm just saying, like overall,
That goes for everybody.
to
That
this
goes for
day, I still recommend an Xbox for somebody who's casual getting into gaming. I don't say a PS5. I don't say a Switch because I mean, unless they really want to switch, sure. But like that's for people who like know they want to switch. For people who are indecisive, I say Xbox because again, I can say PC, but like, oh, I don't have a PC. Then they can't really run Steam, all that stuff. So again, to Xbox's credit, like getting rid of that ease of access of like entry to a console in the gaming world and online space, you would lose that without Xbox. And again, yeah, we mentioned Xbox. I mean, Epic's failures, and then you mentioned we are going to Xbox Game Pass. That's one thing I mentioned earlier in the statement was like, again, that's a really good service. Sure, it's like bad, but like that also pushed the industry to like offer games in that way and like kind of like
yeah.
again it does have a negatives positive and negative to that but like that also was like kind of like made industries kind of turn their heads like oh like should we do that that's pretty good getting a good deal um sure
Sony did end
like
up
yeah
definitely
it
doing
sucks
that.
how it's gone down because I think Xbox Game Pass was a really good sell. I had it for like almost 2 years when it came out. I was actually playing games at that time period. It was crazy. Like I was actually playing new games. But yeah, like it sucks how it is now. Is they have to like they basically running it at a loss. So it's like it's again they're doing it. They weren't even doing that to make money. So like that could be a credit to Microsoft and Xbox. They're doing it to like kind of give back and have a lot of games accessible to a lot of a wider audience. So again, sucks they had to fire people. all that stuff. I'm not saying that, but it's like at least with that
Yeah, no,
innovation, um,
that's a tough
it,
one.
it's something that no one else would do, especially in like the console race.
And
Like,
Microsoft
yeah,
and Nintendo and Sony usually take risks when it comes to their hardware. You know,
hardware.
you have like like the PSP, the PlayStation Portable, and the PS Vita. Even though the PS Vita didn't do good and the PSP was it did okay. I love those consoles. They were innovative. They were really weird. They were really something weird to try. Nintendo, the Wii was a weird thing, and they knocked it out of the park. The Switch, the Wii U, as bad as it was innovative. Xbox, though, always stayed on the market of let's release this and a box. And sure, the Kinect was a thing, but the Kinect was also a
The
bad
Connect
thing.
was
But
terrible.
the thing is, hold on. I mean, I understand like, oh, they're not wacky and goofy, but like, we kind of need
Yeah.
stable consoles. Like, you know,
No, no,
Well, I
you're
will
not
tell
wrong
you,
about that. You're
yeah.
not wrong.
I
You're not
think
wrong
it's
about that.
bad having that much stability and no improvement. Like their controller, oh, Xbox. I don't really
Like
like
besides
controllers.
hardware, and Microsoft does have
Yeah,
hardware. They've always had hardware. So does Sony. That's the main competition. I feel like having hardware only compared to having at least one fun thing with a console, it can generally be kind of bad. And talking about hardware and taking risks and stuff like that, Valve is a company that also did that. The Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, it came out. If I don't remember exactly the date right now, but before the Steam Deck, the only portable handheld you had was Nintendo stuff. You had the Switch, and before that, you had the 3DS and whatnot. But after the Steam Deck came out, and that was just a portable laptop in a way with its own OS, its own goddamn operating system and whatnot that they created via Linux. After that, all of these other like computer companies like Lenovo, Asus, and so many other companies started releasing their own like little portable hardware stuff,
yeah.
including Microsoft. But the way Microsoft is doing it is it's like the same thing I'm criticizing them for with their Xbox line of consoles. Is that what they did was they grabbed an ROG Ally, which is a brand that already exists, and just plastered the logo, made it a little bit better when it comes to their hardware, and it costs upwards to $1,000.
they definitely could have done
Go better.
a little more than they have. But again, I just think with all the quirkiness, we need a reliable console. Which at the time, there was a
For this,
when they were coming out with the Xbox Series, that that line of consoles, there was a lot of talk about how like Microsoft and Xbox, they're like basically better than the PS4 at that point, and of course Nintendo. But like
no, it wasn't
they
the PS5.
like
Yeah.
like sure it's a boring-ish console, but like it was always there. Like you could never sleep on Xbox. Like it was almost like coming up to pass, with the PS4 being kind of again the best console of that time. But again, with that being older and Xbox is coming out, it's like okay, we can actually compete. And again, that's when the services came out. They had really good games. Again, the controller is still pretty comfortable. So again, yeah, they could have innovated a lot more, and they got complacent with the Xbox One. Again, we don't. It's like PS3 was bad, Xbox One was bad. The Wii U was bad. They all have bad stuff. So
Every console has a bad moment.
yeah.
Even Valve.
So I mean,
Valve
yeah,
has
but I
the
think I think
wrong
probably that hurt Xbox a lot more because then I think it probably did cause them to kind of go more the safer route, which is making it better. So I can probably agree with that. Yeah, just making the same ish thing but a little better, just to like at least to compete with what's out there. Closing statements. What do you have to say for your
closing
side to
statements.
to keep or
Uh,
to boot off Xbox and keep Steam in your opinion?
okay. For me to keep Steam and like boot off Xbox is the fact that not just what they have done like recently this year, last year, the year before that, just the 2020s overall. Um, even with the fact that the 360 is a nostalgic console to me, even with the fact that the original Xbox games are still some of the most fun games out there, really like Blinks the Cab, even Pinata, all this stuff. Even Banjo Nuts and Bolts is fun to me. But Call of Duty was also a big part of my life. Those games in those years. Um, even with playing those games on the 360, I still had a bigger connection to not just the PC landscape because I used to have I had a family PC. I used to play Flash games there, and I was always
That
interested in
Flash
that.
game's all right.
Yeah, Flash games, alright. But no, it's also the fact that I also used to play Valve games on Xbox. Xbox taught me about Valve, so I can generally say that not just first party, because Microsoft nowadays isn't really a first party console that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly third party nowadays too. Uh, and the third party game like Portal introduced me to like the catalog of Valve. I played Half-Life because of that. I played Team Fortress, Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike was also on the Xbox 360. It was terrible. I still played it. I loved it. But and not just the gaming catalog, is the fact that the way Valve treats besides their employees, the way they treat the consumer, the way they respect the consumer, they're really just pro-consumer. Like it's incredible, and I respect that overall. And I feel like since Microsoft is such a huge company, Xbox is such a huge company too. I feel like the way they are like consumer friendly is not like, because it's an easier console to get. It's not like there's so many people there that it's really hard to just be consumer friendly. Their games are usually very the Game Pass is such a weird thing. Like if you're getting into consoles is great, but after a certain point you realize that you're just better off buying your games, because buying your games is going to actually make you play the games. But again, putting that aside, um, I still think that just Valve and the amount of things I've been able to done with Steam, the amount of games I've been able to play, the amount of friends I've made to playing these games, whether it be on like just PC in general or just PC, uh, and Microsoft as a whole, the 360, Xbox One, and all that stuff. I feel like, especially after the 360, if Microsoft decided to shut down Xbox, we wouldn't lose that much. I feel like we wouldn't have lost. What would we have lost? Halo, like Halo 4. Halo 4
Halo.
was Halo 4 was not good. Halo 5 was terrible. And besides that, they didn't really publish any other exclusive. Gears of War, and that was mainly an Epic Games game, if we're being like, that wasn't a game made by Epic. Published by Xbox, they own the rights now. But besides Gears of War, besides owning Rareware, which I love with a burning passion, um losing Xbox wouldn't really mean losing that much compared to like losing Steam, not just because it's a great marketplace, or losing Valve because I love their games. It's just the fact that if we lost Valve, or we lost any of the other three companies, if I'm being honest, I feel like the effect would be much bigger. It's like if Sega died and we didn't get anything else from Sega. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about Microsoft. Honestly, some of the stuff I like from Microsoft is the same thing as I like from Sega, and I feel like if I also lost Sega, it would be a lot of stuff lost. But would it affect me in the future of other series? I don't think so. I feel like I would just be like, oh, that's a bummer. I guess that's it. Really.
True. All right. My closing
Now
statement
you,
is
yeah.
that again, I chose Xbox over Steam in this instance is because again, I'm talking about the kind of like the track record they have of the online gaming space, the influence and backwards compatibility, the accessibility. Again, with Microsoft being backed by Xbox being backed by Microsoft, again, they had a lot of insight on kind of like what kind of like um, a casual entertainment console can be and should be. So I think they succeeded in that aspect. Again, I can also agree that they haven't been the best recently, and that's kind of why they're seen in this kind of bad light and kind of just like kind of boring, safe, consistent console. But again, I just think we kind of need that in the market of today with Nintendos and PlayStation 5s looking like this, you know, insane thing because like you couldn't even get it when it came out. It looked weird. There's no real exclusive, so they have their own faults. But again, I think the consistency with Xbox can't be denied. Um, I do wish they innovated a little more with their consoles and were a little bit more proactive in what they do. But again, the stability is kind of what is what they need and what we need in the gaming market space. So I don't they no one really can compete with Steam. So it's like it's kind of hard to put pretty much anything besides Nintendo against Steam because they're just kind of in their own lane. That it's like it's just what they've done is one of a kind. Again, no one can replicate that. So that's why I'm like it's almost losing battle from the start because Steam is just this juggernaut of a platform and just like of innovation in games, what they've done over time. But I still say, um, it. I would
Fucking
probably,
shit.
what would happen? I would probably half agree that you wouldn't lose too much with getting rid of Xbox. Maybe we don't know, but that's just probably coming from the recent track record. So I mean, let's say they were good, maybe they wouldn't keep them. I don't know, or like I don't know. I feel like it would take Steam to make probably a few bad missteps for you to change your opinion on Steam. I don't know, but you know how people's opinions flip. But like, since they have such a pretty good track record, it is hard to like kind of pinpoint any like real deviant and like bad things against Steam. So I can give credit to Steam in that. They're consistent in the PC space. They have a huge, market in that. No one can replicate what they do. I think Steam is great. I would be a fool to pick, to say which one is better. Of course, Steam is better right now than Xbox, but again, if we're gonna get rid of one over time, I think I would still keep the big three of Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. It'll be pretty sad. Since I am mainly into PC gaming, I don't even touch consoles now. That it would actually hinder my like actual day to day gaming life. So I don't know. Maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot, but like I don't know. This is my opinion. I think yeah. We'll see. Maybe I'll change my mind, but that's kind of where I stand by that. All right, Nova. Any thoughts? Anything else?
Anything you want to add?
Anything after Xbox 360's ass, y'all can suck my dick.
True. He's right.
What?
Yeah. He's right. Yeah. I lost, chat. I lost.
PS2 is peak. What else? Nintendo's ass. Um, Steam likes hentai games. That's pretty
Base.
much all I have to
True.
say.
Damn.
That is something
That's the
that is
debate
something
summed
that
up in like 2 seconds. All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.